from the United States of America. I can prove it because we are making everything right in the world. It's also the place for the brave, like the veterans we feat today, thanks to John Basiliga and his great companies, like Thomas Van Fossen, Harding, Andrew Bauer, Scranton, formerly of Cobb's Lake Preserve, Lake Ariel, Ronald Picorni, Old Forge, Richard Vrabel, LaPorte, Edward Zielinski, DuPont, and Louis Oler, Wilkes-Barre. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, irreplaceable, amazing founding fathers. That government is not our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom could not be parceled out to groups. It could not be controlled by government or government officials. Our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Well, whether we like what they lie about or not. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because we had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of the hour, and reminding you that Picardo Jewelers, your Breitling watch store time is 9:13 as we begin the meeting. Joe from Trips Parking says that opening montage was the best piece of information I've heard since the beginning of the conflict. The hypocrisy was laid out perfectly. I'm waiting for Hillary, though. I'm waiting for her. She's going to criticize it. She's going to say it's a king and it's a this and it's coming. These fools cannot control themselves, and they just forget what they've said, positions they've taken, because they don't believe in anything except their own climb to power. They believe in their own ambition. They don't believe in the country. They don't believe in any principles except more for them. That's where they're coming from. So I mentioned this at the close of the program yesterday. It was really a sad week last week. For me particularly, but certainly for many others, because we lost some great people. Father McLaughlin, my old priest at ICC, up in the hill section there of Scranton. Paul LaBelle, the talented guitarist, raconteur, storyteller. Paul LaBelle died. I can't believe it. George Bieber, my old pal, Tower of Strength. And Ron Lees, all passing. I just wanted to mention it again. It's sad. And again, I don't get to go to very many funerals. Not that I'm dying to go to them, but I don't get to go to many because of this schedule. All right, so last night, Trump announced the ceasefire. Now, there were hours left on the ceasefire. Well, you knew. One of the things that gets me about Trump, and you guys know this, and it gets me aggravated sometimes. Look, I'm taking him no matter what. He's been great. The policies, the results, all that. Understood. But he's got a tendency, because he is so optimistic and he is so can-do. So it comes from a good place, generally speaking. But he talked about this ceasefire like it was actually going to happen. He gets overly optimistic that people are going to do the right thing, or the thing he wants them to do, or the thing that makes sense. Well, that's not how countries and people act. So then he gets in a lather over, and let's explain the events quickly. Israel stepped up their attacks immediately after. They had 6 hours to get it in. Iran does essentially the same. And they fire off a lethal missile. It kills a family of 4 and others. Now, this is before the deadline. So in reaction, Israel steps up its attacks even beyond the level it was at. And then Iran fires back something ineffectively. Now, whether Iran fired that ineffective missile before or since, Israel was reacting to, meaning they fired off after their ceasefire was supposed to be in effect, meaning Iran. Israel was reacting to the lethal attack that had taken place prior to the ceasefire. But again, when you're talking about bitter enemies, and remember, Israel has no reason to accept a ceasefire other than Donald Trump persuading them they should do so. And I guarantee it, unlike the Democrat administration, he didn't threaten them to get them to accept the ceasefire. But a ceasefire works to Iran's advantage. It does stop the killing. So that's where we stand. And, Trump let out an expletive deleted this morning, which sort of, I was like, oh, did I just hear that? Because I was listening. I think he did it with intention. He wants both countries to know that he's angry. And that was on his way to the plane to go to the Netherlands for a NATO summit. The first NATO summit of his new presidency, his second presidency. The thing I want to say, but it's never the case. I was telling you about these, I'm on a text with high school friends. Oh, the World War III, the war, the idiocy, the ignorance of people. No, the attack brought about peace, the possibility of peace. You're stupid. You don't want to pay attention. You just hate Trump. You're a dedicated dummycrat. And so you're going to say something ignorant and stupid with no basis in fact or history. And this is what happens. Now, what do they say? I know this, by the way. I know what will happen next. Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And he cursed. Now he cursed. And he called the gay host, the Vanderbilt heir. Why am I forgetting? I have his face pictured in my mind. Anyway, he called him by a girl's name. I don't know why he does that silly stuff, but you know what? So what? In my view. And attacked CNN and all that. Well, CNN's not enough a factor to worry about. President Trump. That's what I would say to him. What are you worried about? Don't even give them the spotlight. They're that bad. Let them be awful with their tiny audience. But they're going to come up with the Democrats and the haters. They're going to come up with something else that's wrong. The things that Trump has been achieving are astounding. They were things that weren't even attempted by the Democrats and the establishment. Not even attempted, because they don't have the vision, they don't have the strength, they don't have the ability. The mummy in the White House. I said in a little text, I was thinking of all sorts of responses. I said, you know what? It's a waste of time. They're Democrats. They want to be Democrats, and they're not going to be convinced of fact, truth, and reality because they don't want to be. So I let it go. I let it pass, and who cares? Anyway. We all agree, but again, remember, there's always agreement. Everybody agreed that the Scranton Times sucks. It's a non-existent newspaper. It's a disgrace. We all agreed with that. Oh, by the way, yeah, the rags. I've got 3 of the rags here. Iran strikes at U.S. base in Qatar. Same headline in the Citizen's Voice. The first was the Times Tribune. The third was the Standard Speaker. Now, they're showing photos. You want to talk about, you want to talk about disloyal to your country. They're showing the Iranian military in their war room at the front page of every newspaper in Northeast Pennsylvania, as though they're doing something heroic. By the way, I didn't even get to read the story. And maybe technically the headline is accurate. They strike at it. They didn't hit it. So realistically, the headline's a lie. Showing Iran in their war room like they're doing something. They've been rendered impotent completely by Israel and the United States. It's so disgraceful. These papers are so disgraceful. The editorial people on these papers, you are idiots. You are fools. You are goofs. You are goofballs. You're stupid. You're dishonest. That's your decision, to show the Iranian war room and to have a headline for an attack where nothing landed. In fact, there's a great little video, if you guys can catch it. American troops, now they're on the ground at the base that Iran's trying to hit. And they're laughing as each of their missiles get picked out of the air. Laughing like it was I don't know if they were doing shots. They just might have been. So this is who we're dealing with our local rags. That's how awful they are. They're awful people. Period. Awful people. Liars. Phonies. Anything for their agenda. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about fact. They don't care about reality. Now, do you waste your time with them? No, we'll just criticize them. We'll call them out. But that's who they are. They're not going to change. There is, other than the obituaries and an occasional sports story, there is not. Oh, and the second page of the papers where they show community people. There's very little redemptive value in these newspapers. They're that awful. Promoting an Iranian line for what? Because Trump was effective? You're trying to pretend, oh, look what happened when Trump attacked. Yeah, you know what happened? Nothing. Liars, nothing happened. You're liars. You're phonies. You're a disgrace. You're not even an excuse for a news outlet. Unreal. All right, well, Trump, you fooled him again. The Roadrunner Coyote's after you, but he ain't getting you. They'll keep bringing out their Acme explosives and devices and blowing themselves up. That's our media. That's our local rags. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Jerry Lee Lewis. Murph tells us this date, 1957. He debuted with his first single, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. And the Supreme Court in 1957, Roth versus United States, ruled 6-3. Obscene materials not protected by the First Amendment. Okay. Nor should it be, really, right? Somebody texts in, it's RW. He says, I was 9 in 1979. And remember the freeing of the hostage, American flag stickers being circulated. Carter was too weak to get it done, but Reagan wasn't. These opposers forget how Americans were tortured, and after the Shah was overthrown, women were raped and forced under Sharia law. That's why they want. That's what they want for the rest of the world. You don't give a loaded handgun to someone who chants, "I want to kill you." Yeah, Art, you're right. That's a pretty good idea. The people who are sympathetic to Iran should fly there to see how they're treated. They'll quickly learn. I know. You're running around with an Iranian flag, but you want to talk about idiots. They're running around with Iranian flags. This is a lunatic, radical Islamist death cult masquerading as a government. And people are protesting for them. People are sympathetic towards them. What did they think? Did they think they were trying to get a nuclear weapon to have one? No. They stated it repeatedly, constantly. They were trying to obtain nuclear weapons to use them. Did you want to wait till the day before they used it? Did you want to wait till after they used it? Or did you want to just say, you know what? Let's not take a chance. Remember Remo? We're going to find that bulldog. Find that cut. Why take a chance? All right, we can't take a chance because we got to play these great sponsors. We'll come back. We have our first Veterans Tribute of the day, and we'll return. Bob Cordaro on the Eponymous Show, 570-883-0098. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great companies like Eastern Roofing Systems, the premier and one of the largest commercial, institutional roofing companies in the eastern United States, guess what? They'll bring that expertise to your home here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Then you've got Serenity Care, the reimagined, top shelf, gold standard of senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. 4 locations: Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. 2 of those in the Mid-Valley and Kingston are dementia units. Totally redone, totally rebuilt. Great food, great facilities. A place for you or your family member to live. Andrew Bauer. He died May 6th at age 86. He was from Scranton, but he was formerly of Cobb's Lake Preserve in Lake Ariel. Predeceased by his wife, Edith Nee Vaughn, who died in 2017. He was born in Hershey, PA. He was a graduate of Germantown Academy in Philadelphia and then attended Haverford College. He served us in the U.S. Army in Germany, 1958 to 1960. Prior to his retirement, he worked at Penn Photo Mounts in Aston. And he is survived by his brother, stepchildren, and other family members. Andrew Bauer. Thomas Van Fossen. He was 79 when he passed May 15th. He was from Harding. Born in Philadelphia. Graduate of Exeter High School. He then served his country by joining the United States Navy during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Prior to his retirement, he was the office manager for Dana Perfumes in Mountaintop. Preceding him in death was his daughter, Jennifer Heron, in 2021. Surviving, his wife of 49 years, the former Jane Gall. A daughter, a son, grandchildren, and other family members. Thomas Van Fossen. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by our guy, John Basiliga, and his great family of companies. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny, hot, and humid, 97. Tonight, partly cloudy, 72. Wednesday, partly sunny and hot with a chance of thunderstorms, high near 90. Thursday, cooler with breaks of sun and clouds and a chance of showers and thunderstorms, 82. I heard tell on the morning news that Snedeker said that it might be in the 70s on Friday. I love this heat, but I know that it could actually be dangerous for people. Like, I wouldn't put the Bulldog out in this heat. Right, Bulldog? We wouldn't let you out in this heat. He's nodding enthusiastically. He loves air conditioning. I don't take Chauncey for a walk either. Not that he likes to walk anyway, but I loved it. I did Lake Scranton yesterday, doing my push-ups, walking around, and it was great. I love it. I don't know if I'm going to get to do that again today, but today, to me, this is the perfect weather. But you know what? I know what they say. You ever hear the term when they say the weather's close? That's what it was like last night. Like, it seemed like the atmosphere, you'd go outside the house, and I don't have the air conditioning blasting because I don't like air conditioning, but you'd go step outside the house because I got to take Chauncey's got to go out, and it'd be close. Like, it felt like it was on top of you, didn't it? All right. Now, getting back to the point. Why take a chance? It's not La Familia Friday, but I think you'll understand the sentiment that Trump decided and why Trump decided by listening to this clip from Casino. Yeah. They're Iranians. They're insane. Take them out. Let's go to Mike from Bloomsburg. How are you, Michael?
You know, you talked about how close the weather felt when you got out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And all my friends are, 70 or more now, and they're all complaining about how long it takes to recover, how long it takes to get stuff done. And you know what I told them, Bob? I said, there's some things I can do faster than I've ever done in my life. And that's forget what I was thinking about or what I needed to remember.
Michael, what do I say, though, always? I say, I'll do the jokes around here, okay?
It's true, though, Bob, and you know it. Hey, listen, you've been talking quite a bit here this morning about our friends in the Democrat left and how they seem to love every enemy of America. The old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Well, that's the Democrats for you. Anybody who hates America like they hate America is their friend.
Yeah.
It's simple.
I think you nailed it. I think it's that simple, Mike.
And you know how I nailed it, Bob? Because I don't watch Fox. I don't watch Newsmax. Right now, I've been monitoring CNN, ABC, and MSNBC.
Uh-huh.
And I'm telling you what.
How do you do it? God bless you. I have to turn them off. I watch them because it's my job, but wow, they're so bad.
Well, if you're a weak person, you fall prey to what they're saying. Or if you have an inclination, if you've been brainwashed along the way and reality has been buried, you'll fall right into line with those people. No, we had a guy here, Bob, and I'm going to be real quick because I only knew him kind of incidentally. He died just recently, and his obituary is very long. And he was he graduated from Grove City College. He studied under the Mises, I think it's called Mises Institute. Basically, he was a free market capitalist. He worked hard, had a successful life, and that's what has to happen in America. We have to work hard, we have to have a successful life, and we have to understand that we live in a dangerous world. People want to destroy us, and they'll try to do it any way that they can, and we have to fight for survival. A good life is, you're not entitled to it. Nobody's entitled to it. We have to understand the battlefield that we're on, and watching MSNBC and CNN and ABC and all that stuff, you're just sleeping with the enemy as far as I'm concerned. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm oblivious to what's happening, and I've been told that before. But the fact of life is hard, and we need to fight to keep what we have. And Democrats are just laying on the ground and telling our enemies to walk over us.
Quite amazing. One of our great listeners sent to me, it says, the whole world quickly realized that America is no longer being run by men in dresses.
There's some truth to that. People say they understand strength, okay, and power.
That's all they understand in the Middle East. That's all they understand. That's all they respect. Nothing else. And
I'll tell you, Bob, I'm very concerned because the number of people, and I know them personally, and they are basically out of their minds because they think that Donald Trump personally is trying to destroy their life. That's what they learn from watching the TV, that Donald Trump is your enemy. He wants to take what you have. He wants to take your job. He wants to make you poor. He wants all your money. That's the message.
But I mean, at some point, you got to say you're too stupid to exist. You fell for this again. What else are you? They fall for everything. That's how you lead your lives. You can't even feel sorry for them at a certain point.
Well, that's right. And the smart people they're making jokes about him. The things that you see, there was one that I saw on Facebook, and that shows that I am older. There was a guy with a funny looking face, and it says the face you have when you realize you have to change the flag you're carrying, and they're showing a pro-Iranian flag.
I saw that. It's really good and sadly true. Another thing that one of our great listeners sent to me, it has a picture of Dick Cheney. It says, Iraq is building a nuke. I need 500,000 troops, 8 years, and $2 trillion. Then there's a picture of Trump. Iran is building a nuke. Give me 10 20-year-old pilots and 45 minutes in Iranian airspace. Just perfect.
You know, there's a lot to that.
Yep.
But the one thing that the American people can't have is overconfidence and too much ego and pride. We have to understand, we're in a battlefield right now.
Yes, we're going to take losses, sadly. But does anyone, Mike, by the way, no one with a brain believes that Iran, before that attack, would not have killed as many Americans as they could kill if they ever were given the chance. And nothing's changed, except they're less lethal than they were before. That's it.
Exactly. And but the one thing, and again, remember how I said I forget things really quick, and I did, but it just came back to me. I'm watching MSNBC, and I think it was the woman who cried, "Why? Yeah. I forget her. Yeah, you can picture her if you heard that her going on like that. But at any rate, they're now worried about potential sleeper cells in the United States.
Yep, now they're worried about it.
Good Lord, were they when they were pouring across our border, welcomed into our country, shipped wherever they wanted to go, and they didn't say anything? That just shows how evil that those people are, because I know every one of those persons is probably smarter than me, okay? Yet they are willing to spread that propaganda to keep their high-paying $1 million a year job.
Yep. Well, Michael, we nailed it today, my friend. Thank you. I like that one. They love the countries that hate us because they hate us too.
The enemy of our enemies.
There it is. Thanks, Michael. Always a pleasure to hear from Bloomsburg. We'll take a break because it is time for the Bloomberg Money Minute. We're going to go to that and find out what's going on in business today. By the way, oil is down. All these tragedies that Trump was going to create. You're wrong again. Murph finds this stuff. This date, 1965, that's the Hollies. They had the number one hit in the UK with I'm Alive. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Let's again try to put into perspective, and one of our great listeners sending this in. Trump didn't declare war. President has the authority to conduct military action as commander-in-chief. In 2016 alone, Obama dropped 26,171 bombs, yet the Democrats still claim he never started a war. Bill Clinton bombed Afghanistan and Sudan. Remember that? Trying to deflect from the blue stained dress. George Bush bombed Iraq. Barack Obama bombed Libya, Syria, Iraq, Somalia, Yemen, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Joe Biden bombed Iraq and Syria. Donald Trump bombs Iran. The whole world's panicking. You know why? Because he's going to win. Their greatest fear is that he's right and that he'll succeed for the American people. This is who we're dealing with. Somebody texted in. I'll have to check this out. I don't use Google. I use DuckDuckGo, by the way. Google's not my search engine. I use DuckDuckGo. But they said, Google won't let you search for that attack. So that's fascinating. And by the way, very possible. But I use DuckDuckGo. I don't know if the result would be the same, but that's what I use as a search engine. Now, our guy John sent something else in here. Hillary Clinton, she supplied Iran with uranium. Barack Obama, he gave $1.7 billion in cash on pallets. Remember that? To Iran, which funded its nuclear program and terrorism. By the way, he gave them about another $50 billion in previously frozen funds. Joe Biden, he unfroze $16 billion for Iran. And guess what else? He allowed them to earn net about $100 billion so that they could foment terror and build nuclear weapons. These people are so stupid and phony. That's why I played them at the beginning of the hour. It's insane. Then there's a picture of Trump. He ended Iran's nuclear program. Yeah, well, pretty simple, isn't it? Mayoral race in New York City today. Man, you want to talk about odious choices? Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo is the hope of New York City for the Democrat primary. It's almost unbelievable. There is a Sharia law insane socialist by the name of Mamdani, and he's a true threat to win the Democrat nomination. Now, that allows probably Eric Adams to continue. Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. I'm telling you. New York City. Well, I look up and I see that the Picardo Jewelers watch time, and they do have Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army. Go to the store. Go to the store. You see them as soon as you come in Scranton. Jefferson Avenue and Spruce Street. And you will see Picardo's Jeweler, their amazing store. Best collection of watches you will ever see. They tell us it's 10:01, and what does that mean? It's time for the news. We'll be back. Great good morning, everyone. 10:09 a.m. here in the great Northeast. Yeah, that's the Cordaro Jewelers watch time. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. It is a very hazy, hot and humid Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. But it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. Thanks to our man John Basiliga and his incredible companies, we have the chance to honor people like the veterans we lost this year. Thomas Van Fossen, Harding, Andrew Bauer, Cobbs Lake Preserve in Lake Ariel, Richard Vrabel, LaPorte, Ronald Picorni, Old Forge, Edward Zielinski, DuPont, and Francis Oler, Wilkes-Barre. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that through our commitment to common sense, we will provide a sanctuary of sanity to you for the balance of this morning. You do have to get, and I could see I could see Trump rather, getting frustrated. He's used to making things happen. Now let's look at a small thing. The economy. Yeah. Well, Trump wants interest rates lowered, and justifiably so. There is no inflation. It's at the sweet spot. It's the lowest in 4 years. Now, I want you, Jerome Powell, why does Trump despise Jerome Powell, who he appointed, by the way, to the Federal Reserve? Why does he despise him? Well, Powell is one of these creatures of the swamp. Now, Trump appoints him because in his first term, he just didn't know who was who. And it was a mistake, and he knows it. Powell, with higher inflation, remember, reduced interest rates twice last fall with higher inflation to try to help the Kamala Harris campaign. He's blatantly, ridiculously swamp, establishment, and disgraceful. Remember, he presided over the outrageous inflation of the Biden administration and said nothing about their wild spending, said nothing about the idiocy of their Green New Deal policies, said nothing about their regulations. Powell is awful at his job. And he's political, which is exactly the opposite of what you want there. I don't mind if a guy's ignoring Trump who's pitching to his advantage, his political advantage. I don't mind him ignoring it. But he did the exact opposite. When it wasn't called for, he reduced interest rates because it was his preferred gang in the White House. In other words, the establishment. Remember, it's not just a lunatic left Democrat Party. It's a bunch of Republican establishment sickos who benefit from the status quo. People like Powell, Jerome Powell. And so what are they doing? Anything to stop or slow down the disruptor. Doesn't matter if it's a district court judge. Doesn't matter if it's the president, the head of the Federal Reserve. Doesn't matter. So Jerome Powell's got to go. He does not care about the economy. He cares about the establishment. And you need no further proof than his behavior during the Biden administration. It was disgraceful. It was wrong. Oh, Lord. All right, I got our guy Bill from Pittston on the blower. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing good. You know, Bob, the reason I call these politicians, first of all, I want them to know that there's somebody paying attention and not going to let them go.
Which I love that you do this.
The other reason I do it is because I want to be an irritant, like a dead fly in their soup. So anyway, I called Tim Kaine's office yesterday, and I got one of his assistants. And I said, you do know that John Yoo, the jurist, said that what President Trump has done in Iran is perfectly legitimate. It's within the Constitution. As a matter of fact, what Senator Kaine is doing is against the Constitution. And I said that there's no doubt about it. So what's the point? I said, my other question is, does Senator Kaine realize why he lost with Hillary Clinton in 2016? And I said, I'll tell you, no way. He doesn't know why he lost because he continues to follow the same stupid policies. And then thirdly, I said, why is he attacking Trump for something that's really good? And ask him this, and I'm serious. Why do Democrats hate America and Americans? She said, I don't know, sir. She was very nice. So I said, well, I'll leave you with that. Have a good day.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. Yeah. Why? By the way, it is an appropriate question. And Mike from Bloomsburg, he nailed it. They love all the countries that hate us. And like John texted in, Democrats are suddenly worried that Iranian terrorist sleeper cells will now attack the USA from within. The same Democrats who let them all in. The same Democrats who want you to be unarmed. Can you make this up? It's really, truly unreal. And I want to repeat something here that John had sent us. Obama in 2016 alone, he didn't drop 14 bombs. He dropped 26,171. Where was Tim Kaine then? I'll answer, nowhere. Cheerleading. Now, another judge blocked Trump's ban on Harvard foreign visas. Who's in charge of the country? Who did we elect? We didn't elect these judges. It's impossible. How can a U.S. District Court judge, and I've said this on air but otherwise, how can a district court judge have a national injunction, maybe within their district, but it's got to be immediately appealed? Harvard does not have appropriate vetting for students, foreign visas. They don't do it properly. So guess what? Until you figure out a better system, you're out. Totally within president's capability. Oh, Lord, frustrating. But we are moving forward, thank God, against the swamp, against the establishment. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. The Fifth Dimension. Murph tells us this date, 1967. They performed their hit Up, Up, and Away on American Bandstand. And on July 20th, 1987, the Fifth Dimension performed the first song on my first radio station, WWAX, when it went on the air that morning. Jack Griswold, the disc jockey, the legendary Jack Griswold, he picked the song. I was so busy with last-minute details, I didn't have time to worry about what song we were going to play first, and he picked Up, Up, and Away, and I've loved it ever since. Well, when you get in such a lather over insanity, what do you do next? Well, maybe you look and think about poetry. And maybe that's what we're going to do right now. You ready, Bulldog? And that means Lorraine from Hazleton. And we're going to go to her right now. Hi, Lorraine.
Hello, Bob.
How are you?
Hanging in.
Good. Do you have air conditioning?
I have an air conditioner, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it keeping you at least in the 70s or?
Bearable. It's bearable. It just about covers the situation.
Oh,
I have to almost keep it running because if not, then it takes 100 hours for it to cool off again.
You cannot fall behind. I know it. I have the air conditioner. Well, I have to run it for Chauncey, the bull mastiff. So even though nobody's home right now, Chauncey's got to be air conditioned. You got to air condition the whole house because of that little goofball, you know?
Well, look who his master is.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's go, darling. You've got a poem for us.
Yes. Are you ready for the challenge? Life can be a challenge. Don't most of us know that very well? You could think that things are great. Then all of a sudden, everything isn't that swell. The challenge can be financial or maybe physical or emotional stress. All I know is that it can be very devastating and everything can become quite a mess. You can pray or just give up hope. Sometimes praying is difficult to do. I guess it depends on how strong you are and if you find praying works best for you. This world that we live in is not the world that we used to know. This is not being negative, but rather sometimes it's just the way things go.
Okay, I like it. When did you write that? Do you remember?
Oh, it wasn't too long ago, within the past year.
Okay.
I didn't mark the date, but...
What's the hottest and longest heat wave you remember, if you remember any distinctly?
You know what? There was a time when it had hot days, day after day after day, and you just accepted it,
I like it. I mean, I know it's not good for everybody, but I like it.
No. Well, at least you could, I was going to say get around in it, but, not really because it's difficult. But at least you could walk through it a little, not on ice. That's the only positive thing. Forget the ice and snow. It's too hard.
Well, Lorraine, we appreciate it as always. We thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to call you Fonzie.
Fonzie?
Fonzie. No, my gosh. No, Fuzzy Wuzzy.
Fuzzy Wuzzy. Come on.
Fuzzy Wuzzy.
All right, darling. Well, you call us again, okay?
Okay, so long.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate it. Let's go to Clive from Mountaintop. Hi, Clive. How are you, man?
Good morning. We haven't spoken for a while.
I know
First of all, before I've been on the road a lot, but before I get into the meat of things, just let me say I'm glad we finally have a leader, that is President Trump, that is willing to stand up to Israel. And now that I've ruffled some feathers with that comment,
you're right. He's so consistently America first that hey, sometimes our interests don't align 100% with Israel. And, without us behind them, there's not much they could be doing.
Yeah, and I'm referring to him telling Israel to back off on the bombing and give this ceasefire a chance. The other thing, the raid Saturday night, it was awesome. I say that as a retired military member. It had to be done, but it's done. It's over with. The B-2s are parked back at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. And by the way, my wife and I stayed there a couple of nights and got a pretty close look at the B-2s, probably 100 yards away, maybe less.
Neat.
Anyhow, it's time to park the bombers, move the ships further out to sea, and let Israel handle things which are fully capable of doing. With these deep facilities being bombed, they don't need our help anymore.
Well, Clive, remember this, too. Trump's diplomacy and trip to the Middle East just prior to Israel unleashing on Iran had incalculable benefits to the entire Middle East, but to Israel's attack on Iran, which is the true enemy of peace in the Middle East.
Absolutely, and Trump is truly a genius. And so that's where we're at with this. And by the way, I'm no fan of Israel, and I haven't been since June of 1967, the Six-Day Arab-Israeli War, when Israel bombed our spy ship, the USS Liberty. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
That gets brought up to me quite often. Yep.
Yes. They knew what they were doing. They knew it was our ship. And they did it intentionally. And then when the crew threw lifeboats over the side, they strafed the lifeboats. So that has stuck with me and always will. They're just not nice people.
All right. Well, I think they're our ally in the Middle East, and that they're essential ally in the Middle East. But I get the point, and I understand it. I truly do.
One last thing. You mentioned Israel as our ally. What has Israel ever done for the United States of America?
Well, they're doing a lot of good work by pounding on Iran right now. I really
True.
think so. And them behaving in their own interest is generally a positive thing for the United States. But yeah, no, they operate in their own interest. That's it. And by the way, I don't have a problem with it. Trump doesn't have a problem with it. You know what I mean?
Well, I've said for a long time, Israel is out for Israel. And in 2018, when Trump decided to launch...
And being fair, Clive, who else should they be out for? The problem is the United States.
We're the ally.
Stooges. We're the Stooges.
Well, we are. You're right. Where were they in 2018 when Trump launched military action against ISIS, which was right in Israel's backyard? Israel didn't lift a finger to help us.
I'm going to tell you what. Number one, I disagree because they provided very critical on-the-ground intelligence. That's number one. Number two, we don't want Israel to get involved in certain types of conflicts and certain conflicts because they are verboten when it comes to Islam. When it comes to the Muslim population and leadership in the Middle East, there's certain things they can't do without having the whole region explode.
Well, I would think the same holds true for the United States.
Well, we're the big dog. We do things, there's much less implications and much less leave behind when we do it. There truly is.
Well, it's a mess. It has been for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Israel owes its very survival to the United States. Weren't for the United States, Israel would not exist today.
But militant radical Islamism is the enemy of the world and the enemy of peace.
Oh, precisely, and it needs to be dealt with.
But you're right. I mean, we've got to pursue our own best interests in the Middle East, regardless. I'm with you. All right, Clive. Thank you, my man. Good to hear from you again.
Yeah, take care.
All right. Bagardo Jewelers Breitling Watch Store time is 10:33. We'll take a break, come back. We've got our great Veterans Tribute and the weather, and then you, 570-883-0098, and Luciano's on hold. We'll be back. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga and his incredible family of companies. They include Serenity Care, personal care communities, 4 locations, Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. They are the gold standard of senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. How about Eastern Roofing Systems? One of the premier roofers, commercial, institutional, industrial, in the eastern United States. Guess what? Right here in Northeast Pennsylvania, Eastern Roofing Systems will bring that expertise to bear on your house. Yeah, they do residential. And of course, we know Basiliga Hospitality. They're great restaurants, bars, the movie theater. Richard Vrabel. He was 85 when he passed away May 16th. He was from LaPorte. He was known as Grandpa Gum Gum. Dying May 16th. Born in Avoca, raised in Duryea. He joined the Army at an early age. And after 4 years of service, returned to Pennsylvania. He worked the majority of his life in manufacturing, retiring from Owens, Illinois, later known as Technoglass. Retired there after 30 years. He lived with his daughter and her family. He was a lover of landscaping, loved riding around the tractor, cutting the grass, sitting on the porch. Simple things, Chubby Checker songs. He drove around this van known as the Green Hornet, going well under the speed limit. He was a proud patriot, and he served his country in the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions, both legendary. He loved to share the stories of his time spent in the airborne unit in Germany and reminiscing on the good old days with his Army buddies. He's survived by his former wife, Dorothy, his sons, his daughter, 8 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. Richard Vrabel. Ronald Picorni. He was just 63 when he passed May 15th. He was from Old Forge. Born in Taylor. Proud graduate of Old Forge High School, class of 79. Served us honorably in the U.S. Air Force, 1979 to 1983. After that, he moved to Arizona, pursuing a career in electronics. Eventually, he returned to Pennsylvania, launching his own electronics installation business. Later, he dedicated 12 years to the Tobyhanna Army Depot. While he was there, he voluntarily deployed to Iraq to work with the electronic equipment supporting our troops. Passionate outdoorsman, musician. He was a bass player. He survived, in addition to his mother, Patricia, by his sister, brother, nephews, nieces, great-nephews, and great-nieces, lots of other family. Ronald Picorni. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and his amazing family of companies. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny, hot, and humid, 97. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 72. Wednesday, partly sunny and hot with a chance of thunderstorms, high near 90. Thursday, cooler with breaks of sun and clouds and a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Well, with this couple more days of heat, we think, and I think about, well, what's Chauncey doing? Is he okay with all that? Well, Rebecca Martino's here from Stately Pet Supply, and she's got her own theme song. Yes, she does.
I really love it, and thank you for giving me the freedom to kind of pick that one.
Yeah,
I just love that song.
Oh, it's a great song. Come on. We love it. We love it. Well, I don't know. Heat and pets are on my mind today. I don't know if they're on yours.
I thought it was the most appropriate subject, which everyone's talking about today, right? But it's and I thought, how could I lead into this? But so you run the Club for Common Sense, so I'll just touch on a couple. The things that kind of everyone already knows already, right? Don't leave your dog outside for long amounts of time. It's just blistering hot out there. It really is. And I'm always someone that, if you've ever been to places like Knoebels and you see people that bring their dogs on days like today, and the dogs are just not having fun and they're panting like crazy and the pavement is hot and it's just not necessary. There's no reason or any amount of fun that is worth risking it like that. It's just not necessary. So that's kind of my 2 cents on ways to restrict and protect your dog in heat like this. And we all see dogs that pant when it's hot out. That's one of the biggest signs that they're hot. That's one of the ways that they help cool off and they perspire. But another way that they do is actually by sweating through their paw pads. So just like us, when dogs sweat, you lose more than just water.
Every time we talk to you, I do a Johnny Carson. I did not know that.
You know, after you said that a few times ago, I watched it on a YouTube clip, and I went, oh, I'll be darned. You did say that. I like to consider myself some pretty culturally sound as far as, John Wayne movies, baseball, things like that. But I didn't know that Johnny Carson did that either. Well, anyway.
Well, that's when late night shows were late night shows. So, yeah.
I really miss that type of creativity, and that, I just wish that our culture had more of it today. But anyway, they sweat through their paw pads. But just like us, they can lose more than just water. You can lose some electrolytes. The most important ones being sodium, potassium, things like that. So they're going to drink extra water to make up for their dehydration, but that can dilute the sodium that your body still has. And so just like where we could use a touch of Gatorade every now and then, but don't go crazy. Talk to your doctor about that, of course. But every now and then there's a little appropriateness to electrolytes being supplemented when your dog is experiencing extreme heat like this. But again, protect
Can they eat
them.
a piece of banana?
Sure.
Okay. If they
Yeah,
like
some
it,
dogs might. Exactly. That's the box you have to check too. But sure.
Well,
But
Chauncey won't even
absolutely, yeah.
check. If it comes out of my hand, he just eats it.
Oh, well, that's easy to work
Yeah,
with.
I could poison him easily. He's a dope. Yeah.
Well, you got yourself an easy one to work with then, because picky dogs are such a struggle. But yeah, a little electrolyte, but check with your vet first, of course. But every now and then, it's if your dog has just been in an unavoidable situation where you think they've just been exposed to the heat a while, they're drinking a lot of extra water. That's not an inappropriate thing. And one other tip, it is totally normal that dogs can lose their appetite a little bit in heat like this.
Okay.
Don't necessarily get nervous that he's not eating. He hasn't eaten in a day. It's okay. Sometimes we don't really sit down and feast when it's disgustingly hot like
just
this.
like us, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, always check with your vet if you feel like anything is wrong. We'll never dissuade you from being thorough like that, but these things are okay. They're normal.
Hey, Rebecca Martino,
It's just
Stately
like us.
Pet Supply. How about ice cubes? Chauncey loves ice cubes. Is that that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. I call them, when dogs like ice cubes, I say, well, that's a cheap date, and that's awesome. I would definitely do that. I am not someone that plays for the team that panics when dogs eat ice cubes. That's something extreme like bloat, or, that there are some people that do say that you shouldn't feed your dog ice cubes because it's such an extreme sway in temperature, it might be harmful to them. But that you would have to feed in a really large quantity of ice for that to really drastically affect your dog like that.
Mm-hmm.
Throw some ice cubes at your dog. Great.
Yeah.
No problem. That's what I think.
As always, I just go to Stately Pet Supply and ask these questions. If I don't get to ask them today, I just go up there, and either you or somebody's going to know the answer.
Thank you very much, Bob. And everyone's welcome. Our air conditioning's working for now anyway. So come on up. You can hang out.
Rebecca Martino, Stately Pet Supply, State Street, off of State Street in Clark Summit. Thank you, as always. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll be back because I got to get to Luciano. Oh, I could listen to that all day. Aretha Franklin, Murph says this date. Oh, I don't have the year. It was the number one R&B hit with Respect. I don't know the year. I'm sorry. I do not. I don't have it. I'm, when it comes to this stuff, I am Ron Burgundy. If it's not on the paper, it just doesn't get read. And before that, fascinating story. 2004. Now, that was Larry Johnson, a former CIA official. Oh, outrage at the outing of someone that everybody knew was a CIA agent anyway. They questioned President George W. Bush. This date, 2004, in connection with the news leak of CIA operative Valerie Plame's identity being released. Well, guess what? It turned out to be a State Department official who didn't do it with any nefarious purpose behind it. Do you remember that? And they ruined Scooter Libby's life. He was the vice president's chief of staff, as though there was some revenge motive against Valerie Plame's goofy husband for making statements and contradicting the president. Yeah, the media ran with this one, baby. By the way, Trump's not the first Republican president they hated. They hate them all until they kowtow. Until they kowtow to the establishment and the left. Yeah. All right, well, I've been waiting for this. I'm excited for this. We got our man, Luciano. Yeah. He picked this theme song, and it makes me laugh every time. Luciano from Luzerne County. How are you, my man?
Thank you, Bob, for taking my call. Let me just say this. I'll just have to say this. I dated a Jewish lady. I'm very familiar with Judaism. I had a Messianic at one time, Messianic pastor. He's Jewish. You don't blame the Jewish government. Compare them to the Jewish people. Jesus was Jewish. All the apostles were Jewish. Mary was Jewish. So don't judge the faults because the Jewish government betrayed Jesus, betrayed God, and God punished Israel. So we'll leave it at that, Clyde. That's my own personal opinion as a Christian. Second, Bob, that lady knows a lot of things about dogs. I'll just throw this out, please. I'm a little bit under the weather. I put a towel over my face and I went in front of the air conditioner and I got a kind of terrible a cold, but it's getting much better. Let me just say this: when I fast, I use electrolytes, and when I fast, comparing to the dog. When I fast, electrolytes is very beneficial. It's an ancient thing. Also, people are not aware salt is very beneficial in the summertime. Salt is mentioned in the Bible over 40 times, the beneficial qualities of sea salt. I'm not talking about regular table salt, kosher salt. I learned all this not from my culinary degree, outside of my culinary degree. So a tablespoon of sea salt for human beings is extremely beneficial because sea salt is part of electrolytes.
I mean, usually we get to talk about immigration with you. We've got a health segment with Luciano.
Well, I couldn't resist what Clyde said, and I couldn't resist what that lady said. It may apply to dogs because
let's see if we could set you off on your favorite subject. One of our great listeners, John, he sent this in to me, and I've read this before, and I think it is so true, and all of our immigration positions have been upended with falsehoods. It says the Supreme Court has jurisdiction over foreigners, and then that would be all federal courts, only when they are in the country lawfully. The Constitution does not apply to enemy combatants on American soil, illegal immigrants, or to foreigners in their home countries. Moreover, deportation is not a punishment. Foreigners have no right to appeal their removal to their home countries to American courts. It's not a punishment. There's a fundamental misunderstanding by the entire legal profession about what citizenship means. And boy, that makes all the sense in the world.
And let me just say this. I thank the good Lord I was able to talk to my father. Talking about hot climates. I called my father, yes. Yes, I called him. Sometimes he calls me. Let me just say this. The dirty little secret, if people are not aware of, I got a hold of this, a conservative immigration lawyer about 2 years ago, and I asked him this question, and I could never get it. And he finally admitted it. You know that to claim asylum as a refugee from a foreign country, if he comes from whatever, he has to go to the immediate country and then the immediate country. So
yes,
98% of these foreigners.
You point another very important fact.
Go ahead.
For asylum, you must go to the nearest safe country, not the United States, the nearest safe country.
And most of these foreigners, migrants that entered this country in the past 5 years, entered about 25 countries. And so that's a dirty little secret. 98 would not apply, would not be eligible for asylum refugee status. So this liberal media is lying through their teeth. And one last comment, please, Bob. I'm going to tell you one day how many, because of modern technology and modern electrical equipment, how many migrants are actually working in the farm industry, in the farmers. There's only about 10 to 15% at this present time because of modern technology. Most of them are taking jobs from black to finding out.
And also, Luciano, there is an easy, simple legal process for immigrants to work in our agriculture.
Yes, but that is not the point. You're absolutely right, brother. You brilliant, and you're a trained lawyer. I just want to say it's not 90 or 85% of farm workers is done. So much as 65% of American citizens are working in farming at this time. 65%. Migrants only make up about 12 to 15 maximum in the farm industry, and that's a dirty little secret. That's why blacks are protesting nationwide, which is a pleasant surprise. They're protesting because the migrants are taking jobs away from American citizens. I work in construction.
And more importantly is they are depressing wages for Native Americans.
And these filthy business people, they don't want to pay a reasonable wage. And they also do not want to pay medical coverage. That's why California and about 10 other cities are going bankrupt because of the sanctuary insanity. Thank you, Bob.
Luciano, yes, our Bicardo watch time, Bicardo Jewelers watch time is 11:03, which tells us it's news time. But thank you, my man. Always a pleasure.
All right, Bob. Thank you.
We'll go to the news with Brian Hughes, and then we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. Ricardo Jewelers, your Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, and Swiss Army Watch Store tells us our time is 11:09 here in the great Northeast. This sweltering but beautiful Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great family of companies, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost this year, but get to celebrate today thanks to John. Ronald Picorni, Old Forge. Richard Vrabel, LaPorte. Thomas Van Fossen, Harding. Andrew Bauer, Cobbs Lake Preserve, Lake Ariel. Louis Oler, Wilkes-Barre. And Edward Zielinski, DuPont. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you through our commitment to common sense that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of this hour. Yep. It's essential. We need it. By the way, a bunch of people texting in on our Rebecca Martino Stately Pet Supply moment. Where is it? Stupid people put muzzles on their dog. They need them off to pant. Good point. Let me see here. There's one about global warming, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. And somebody said, I just left the dog out because he was going crazy in the house, but the air is on just for him. I know. You know, they've got to go outside, obviously. Don't feel guilty about them going outside. Just don't forget about them. That's all she said. You're 100% right. Somebody said, what about outside stray cats? Can they get West Nile? I don't know. I didn't see it because I try to focus on who I'm talking to. And I don't say that facetiously. I do. I try to focus on who I'm talking to. So I don't often get to some of your questions. Somebody said, how can you get them to drink water in this heat? They'll drink it. They'll drink what they need. Somebody said, how about Al Sharpton trying to spell respect? I never heard. Is that a video thing? Is that a meme? And somebody else got a kick out of Luciano's theme song, Ice Ice Baby. And what a coincidence. We give ice to Chauncey. Now, if somebody takes and let Bob know I'm kidding. I understand that you deny global warming. I don't deny global warming. Two things that are unanswered. Two things. And by the way, I don't deny global cooling. These things have happened over the millennia. What I say is this. The people who are so certain, and by the way, I've exposed this 9 different ways to Sunday. The supposed number one, let's attack this. The consensus that they claim about man-made global warming. Remember, they call it climate change. Now they had to rebrand it because they got proven wrong. But the global warming gang, the scammers, the 96%, 98%, whatever the nonsense is, consensus is an outright fabrication. I went through that in detail. I'm not going to go through it right now. But it's important that you know that. But the listener continues. So I don't deny global warming. I don't deny global cooling. I don't deny climate change. It is what it is. What I deny, what is not proven despite the falseness and the phoniness of the arguments, And by the way, the complete hypocrisy of those who espouse them. Oh, yeah, the same people who are destroying and clear-cutting the Amazon, one of the most precious reserves they claim in the universe, for a highway, for a climate summit in Brazil. I'm telling you, these people are insane. They're insane. Please don't believe them. Stop falling for their nonsense. Anyway, the listener could. Did you know that it was a mere 6 months ago that the daytime temperature was in the 20s? Ask your Mr. Snedeker what the temperature is going to be today. Yes, it will soar to 100 at this rate within 2 short years. The daytime temperature will soar 200 degrees. Yeah. And they finish off, hey, LTS, can't wait till the left uses these facts as talking points. I know. They made it up. And there are global elites who will achieve control over your life, control over economies, and at the same time knock the United States down a peg if they can convince everybody of their lies. They're selling things for their own benefit. But then you have John Kerry, Mr. Global Climate. He's flying on a private jet to China for a Zoom meeting. Please, they're liars. They're phonies. You have AOC and Bernie Sanders on their oligarch tour, not only traveling like oligarchs on private jets, they're lying about it. They don't care about the environment. They care about what you do that makes them uncomfortable. How do we start the program? Every day. People are to be unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. 2 things that make them uncomfortable is you having a gun. The other thing is you having complete freedom to take your family for a picnic or to just go and drive somewhere. You don't know how much they hate that. So the climate scam allows them to attack you. I want to repeat this again. 1,600 is another variation. 1,600 global scientists signed a letter. I've read it here before. That said, mankind, there is no, number one, there is no climate emergency, period. Now, are you going to take your science from AOC? From the indoctrinators who have a lot of skin in the game? Are you going to ruin your standard of living, that which you were able to achieve, or are you going to increase your struggles because of these fools who go on blithely living their lives in direct conflict to what they're trying to force you to do? Please don't fall. Again, it's like the Biden administration. They had, by the way, talk about an environmental disaster. The border. Remember those pictures? The detritus all over the place, polluting waterways. Nobody cared about the environment then. And by the way, nobody cared about the COVID shot or COVID testing when these millions of illegals were crossing our border. Nobody cared. But if you were a nurse or a cop or a first responder or in the military, you were going to lose your job. So they come into the country untested and unvaccinated. You lose your job because you don't want the vaccine. Please, it's every single issue. They're lying phonies. Period. Because they hate you having a gun. Meanwhile, at the same time, they want to arm the people of Ukraine and they want Iran to have nukes. Please make it make sense. You can't. You cannot. There is no sense. You know what makes sense? And just this is human nature. What do they have at stake? Their power, their perquisites, and in many cases, their wealth. That's what they have at stake. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with it never has anything to do with any issue that they're talking about. Ever. Nothing. How about Doge? I mean, the economy is literally getting to the point where the national debt is going to make us collapse. The greatest economy the world has ever known. At risk because of a government which is feeding a minimum of never mind the waste and abuse. They're feeding $1 trillion a year through nonprofits, NGOs, consulting contracts, legal fees to their pals. And it happens to be $1 trillion we don't have. Why were they fighting like stuck pigs for USAID? Why were they fighting like stuck pigs and paying people to do it for Sesame Street in Iraq? Why? Because they were, and by the way, it came out the other day. They were making the money. The establishment, the swamp. It came out the other day, USAID. Now, never mind what we just played from Jesse Waters the previous hour. The theft of $550 million. It was determined. By the way, the New York Times wrote the article that only 10% of the money going to all these overseas shenanigans actually got there. It all went to the establishment. It all went to their pals through salaries at their NGOs and nonprofits. It's all a scam. It's all a scam. Don't believe these people. And the Democrat Party is 1,000% owned by the establishment. Unreal. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors. Let's have a little history moment, little music. And then you, 570-883-0098. The Association. Remember that song? Murph tells us this date, 1967. They moved up to number 2 with their hit Windy. And by the way, the Aretha Franklin, Murph informed me, 1967. It just didn't get typed. That the song Respect. That's a cute song. We have so many great songs today that I want to get to. We're probably not going to get to all of them. Donald Trump. I have to read this before we get to the Veterans Tribute. This is why I love him, but it gets me. I don't know. It sometimes frustrates me, much less now, by the way. It says, stupid AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the dumbest people in Congress, is now calling for my impeachment, despite the fact that the crooked and corrupt Democrats have already done that twice before. The reason for her rantings is all the victories that the USA has had under the Trump administration. The Democrats aren't used to winning, and she can't stand the concept of our country being successful again. They really can't, because you don't need them if it's successful. Trump continues, when we examine her test scores, we'll find out that she is not qualified for office, but nevertheless, far more qualified than Crockett, who is a seriously low IQ individual, or Ilhan Omar, who does nothing but complain about our country, yet the failed country that she comes from, that doesn't have a government, is drenched in crime and poverty, and is rated one of the worst in the world, if it's even rated at all. How dare the mouse tell us how to run the United States of America? We're just now coming back from the radical left experiment with Sleepy Joe, Kamala, and the auto pen in charge. What a disaster it was. AOC should be forced to take the cognitive test that I just completed at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of my physical. As the doctor in charge said, President Trump aced it, meaning I got every answer right. Instead of her constant complaining, Alexandria should go back home to Queens, where I was brought up, and straighten out her filthy, disgusting, crime-ridden streets in the district she represents, that's in air quotes, and which she never goes to anymore. She better start worrying about her own primary before she thinks about beating our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, whose career is definitely on very thin ice. She and her Democrat friends have just hit the lowest poll numbers in congressional history, so go ahead and try impeaching me. Make my day. Trump on Truth Social. I mean, that's humor. That's real humor. And he calls her mouse because of her squeaky voice. I don't, maybe the teeth. I don't know. Oh. Somebody texted in, Live Aid raised $50 million. It was given to the government in Africa, and the starving people in Ethiopia never saw any of it. Mm-hmm. Unreal. I'm telling you, this is what. Please, don't fall for any of their scams. Have appropriate skepticism and even cynicism when it comes to experts. You'll know whether you could trust them over time. You'll know. You'll know whether they're selling their own book or they actually care about the issue they're expounding upon. Yeah. All right. Let us hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back with the Veterans Tribute. We'll come back with the weather. And then you at 570-883-0098. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our man John Basiliga and his great family of companies, which includes Serenity Care, personal care community. 4 locations, Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Dementia care units are located at the Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. All of these facilities have been completely renovated and are accepting new residents. The gold standard of senior care, whether it's for you or a family member. Serenity Care. Louis Oler. He was 91 when we lost him May 9th. He was from Wilkes-Barre. Born in Wilkes-Barre, attended Wilkes-Barre area schools, and served this country proudly in the U.S. Army during the Korean War, where he received 2 Bronze Stars. That means he was in the middle of it. He was in the thick of it. After retirement, he tended bar locally for many years at the Wilkes-Barre Township American Legion Post. The Legion was a second home to him and gave him his purpose in later years. Avid outdoorsman. His biggest goal was to produce the first ripe tomato of the growing season, even if that meant resorting to a bit of trickery. In addition to his parents, he was preceded in death by his wife, Catherine Castelline Oler, his son, tragically, Louis Oler III, and a grandson, Louis Oler. Sadly missed by his granddaughter and great-grandchildren, as well as his daughter-in-law. Louis Oler. Edward Zielinski. He was 94 when we lost him May 18th at the Gino Merlis Veterans Center. He was born in DuPont, devoted lifelong member of Sacred Heart Church in DuPont, as well as a member of its Holy Name Society. Graduate of the University of Scranton with a degree in environmental engineering. He enlisted in the U.S. Navy. He was a veteran of the Korean War. Furthering his military career, he was a retired staff sergeant for the PA National Guard. He gave us a lot. Ed was past commander of the VFW post in DuPont, the great VFW post there. Avid golfer and a bowler. He'd be at Elko's Lanes each weekend. He also liked the outdoors, hunting, fishing, his garden. He was preceded in death by his beloved wife of 63 years, Anna Zakor Zielinski, who died in 2021. He's survived by his son, his grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. Edward Zielinski Sr. Our great veterans, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great companies, including Serenity Care, personal care community. Storm Tiger 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny, hot, and humid, 97. Tonight, partly cloudy, 72. Wednesday, partly sunny and hot with a chance of thunderstorms, 90. Thursday, cooler with breaks of sun and clouds. Chance of showers and thunderstorms, 82. And we may see 70s Friday, I heard Snedeker tell the morning show. Interesting. Love this song. Gilbert O'Sullivan. I mean, I don't like sad songs because I'm just not a sad person, but that was a great one. This date, 1972, Murph tells us, Gilbert O'Sullivan released his hit Alone Again Naturally. Bob Cordaro back with you guys. Hey, let's go right to Mother Teresa. I skipped it yesterday. I missed it. Mary's very patient with me, Mary Regina. But for June 23rd, a joyful heart is the normal result of a heart burning with love. Joy is not simply a matter of temperament. It is always hard to remain joyful. All the more reason why we should try to acquire it and encourage it to grow in our hearts. Joy. I always told people, I said, really the only thing I missed in prison, not the only thing, there's obviously a zillion things, but the one thing that I don't know, it just was so hard to experience. I mean, I was happy, I was content every day. Joy. Joy. Yep. That's what was missing. And here's Mother Teresa for June 24th. Mary showed complete trust in God by agreeing to be used as an instrument in his plan. She trusted him in spite of her nothingness because she knew he could do great things in her and through her. Once she said yes to God, Mary never doubted. She was just a young woman, but she belonged to God, and nothing nor anyone could separate her from him. And the world was changed as a result. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you, Mary Regina. We got him in. We got him in. Hello, Bob. Heard your 1600 scientist rant before and thought I'd check it out. Reads like propaganda to me, like something lefty loons would make up. Well, it's what is. I don't understand. What is your motivation? And by the way, look up the truth, since if you're one of these climate change fools, and the reason I call you a fool is because they're fooling you. That's what a fool is. So I'd like you to look up the 96% consensus and see how they arrived at it. It's a lie. Somebody takes it, Bob, I was driving when you were speaking with Luciano about illegal immigrants. So this might be not be relevant now. I wanted your opinion on offering but not forcing those jobs to nonviolent inmates. I'm speaking of farm work, roofing, etc., that the left claims the American won't do. I will tell you this, it's not a bad idea, and it's not a bad alternative to incarceration. You let them work, they'll work. We would do anything to get out of the confines of prison. You remember? You may not remember this. Lackawanna County, the inmates or somebody on their behalf, obviously, was suing because they didn't get paid enough. There would be lines. And by the way, you got to vet them completely. But there would be lines of people begging to get out, no matter how hard the job was, just to get out for the day and feel normal and maybe have a hoagie instead of prison food. So you're not far off there. The problem is, when you come down to it, picking the right prisoners, number one. But we don't have a problem getting our crops picked. This is the left wing. This is the effete left wing and establishment of this country. They want everything catered to them. They want their landscaping done. They don't care how it gets done. They don't care if a working class person makes $7 an hour instead of $10. They don't care. What's the solution? What Trump said and what he's doing. Kick the illegals out. That's sad. Kick them out. And I know this. The vast majority of illegals are here to work and live the American dream. But they haven't done it the right way, and they don't know what the American way is. And they are not mixing with our culture. Previous ethnic groups. They added to the American culture because they were part of it and wanted to become part of it. You take the Islamists. Note I say Islamists, not Muslims. You take the Islamists. They're not trying to assimilate into America. They're not trying to add to the culture. They're trying to conquer our culture. We're in a scary place here. And they're not, again, it's led by people who could care less about America. They don't care. They don't care what we are. As long as it's good for them in their pursuit of power and wealth, it's okay. That's who we're up against, guys. They ain't going away. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Bill Withers. Murph tells us this date, 1972, number one R&B hit with Lean On Me. We're going to finish with a classic. Lynyrd Skynyrd, Sweet Home Alabama. This date, 1974, it was released. You have to finish with that. And I'm gonna go off a little bit off track. Yogi Berra's top 35 quotes. Number 1, it ain't over till it's over. Number 2, it's deja vu all over again. Number 3, I usually take a 2-hour nap from 1 to 4. Number 4, Yogi Berra, never answer an anonymous letter. Number 5, Yogi Berra, we made too many wrong mistakes. Number 6, you can observe a lot by watching. Number 7, Yogi Berra, the future ain't what it used to be. Number 8, if you don't know where you're going, you might wind up someplace else. Number 9, it gets late early out here. Number 10, if the people don't want to come out to the ballpark, nobody's going to stop them. Number 11, baseball is 90% mental. The other half is physical. Yogi Berra, number 12, pair up in threes. Number 13, why buy good luggage? You only use it when you travel. Yogi Berra, number 14, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Number 15, all pitchers are liars or crybabies. Number 16, a nickel ain't worth a dime anymore. Number 17, Bill Dickey is learning me his experience. Number 18, he hits from both sides of the plate. He's amphibious. Number 19, Yogi Berra. I always thought that record would stand until it was broken. Number 20, I can see how he, Sandy Koufax, won 25 games. What I don't understand is how he lost 5. Number 21, I don't know if they were men or women fans running naked across the field. They had bags over their heads. Number 22, Yogi Berra. I'm a lucky guy, and I'm happy to be with the Yankees. And I want to thank everyone for making this night necessary. Number 23, Yogi Berra. I'm not going to buy my kids an encyclopedia. Let them walk to school like I did. Number 24, in baseball, you don't know nothing. Number 25, Yogi Berra. I never blame myself when I'm not hitting. I just blame the bat, and if it keeps up, I change bats. After all, if I know it isn't my fault that I'm not hitting, how can I get mad at myself? Number 26, I never said most of the things I said. Yogi Berra, number 27, it ain't the heat, it's the humility. Number 28, I think Little League is wonderful. It keeps the kids out of the house. Number 29, Yogi Berra. I wish everybody had the drive Joe DiMaggio had. He never did anything wrong on the field. I'd never seen him dive for a ball. Everything was a chest-high catch, and he never walked off the field. Number 30, so I'm ugly. I never saw anyone hit with his face. Yogi Berra, number 31, take it with a grin of salt. Number 32 on the 1973 Mets, we were overwhelming underdogs. Number 33, the towels were so thick there, I could hardly close my suitcase. Yogi Berra, number 34, you should always go to other people's funerals, otherwise they won't come to yours. Number 35, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Yogi Berra. Oh, wrapping us up today. As I look up, it is, it's time. the Picardo Jewelers, your Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, and Swiss Army watch store says it's 11:59 and 20 seconds. That means we're done here. Great being with you. You know that. God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow morning. Sue Henry Show next. Rob O'Donnell, his program after that. But for now, I must sign off. I must gavel to close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, otherwise known as the Bob Cordaro Show. Adios. Have a great afternoon and enjoy Sweet Home Alabama.